Chapter 1. A Dream of Grandeur. Amidst rolling hills and lush green pastures lived a young boy named Nebo. At the tender age of 14, he possessed the skills inherited from his father, a seasoned shepherd. Nebo had spent his days tending to their family's flock of sheep, guiding them through rich pastures and shady groves with skill and compassion. But beneath his youthful exterior, Nebo harbored dreams far grander than the simple life of a shepherd. His heart yearned for a life of joy and prosperity, a life beyond the confines of his humble home in the fields near the forest. In his dreams, he saw a magnificent palace, crafted from the purest white marble, adorned with vibrant gardens and sparkling pools of clear water. Within its walls he reigned like a humble king, surrounded by loyal servants that he treated like family. They tended to his every need with love and devotion for the greater good of the whole. Nebo shared his dreams with his family, hoping they would understand the depth of his insight. But to his dismay, they dismissed his visions as nothing more than childish fantasies. "There is no such place," they would say, shaking their heads in disbelief. Yet Nebo knew in his heart that his dreams were more than mere delusions. They were inspired by the love in his heart, calling him to a life of greatness and abundance. As the days passed, Nebo's father grew old and weary, unable to tend to the flock as he once had. Sensing the weight of responsibility falling upon him, Nebo approached his father with a proposal. "Let my brother Nabal tend to the herd," he suggested. "I wish to explore other avenues to grow our family's income." But his father, rooted in tradition, refused to entertain such notions. "We are shepherds," he declared firmly. "We sell wool and sheep, and that is all we need to do." Disheartened by his father's lack of vision, Nebo retreated to his bed, his mind filled with doubts and fears. Yet even in his sleep, his dreams continued to guide him to a reality beyond the familiar fields and forests. Chapter 2. The Call of Destiny. As the first light of dawn painted the sky with hues of pink and gold, Nebo awoke to the gentle rustle of the morning breeze. A sense of restlessness stirred within him, urging him to seek solace in the quiet solitude of the hilltop. With a prayer on his lips and a longing in his heart, Nebo ascended the hill, his eyes fixed upon the rising sun. "O great God, the one and true God," he whispered, his voice carried away on the wind. "Guide me in all things, for you know all things." As he reached the summit, the world lay spread out before him in all its splendor. The sheep slumbered peacefully in the valley below, oblivious to the stirring of their young shepherd's soul. Nebo watched in awe as the sun cast its golden rays upon the earth, illuminating the world with its radiant light. In that moment, Nebo felt a presence, a divine presence, filling him with a sense of awe and reverence. From deep within his heart, God spoke to him, declaring, "I am who I am. Follow me and abide in me." With a sense of clarity and purpose, Nebo accepted the call of destiny, knowing in his heart that he was being guided by a higher power. Gathering his belongings, he wrote a letter to his family, expressing his love and gratitude, but explaining his need to follow his own path. Armed with nothing but his staff, his bag of provisions, and the unwavering faith that burned within his heart, Nebo set out on a journey into the unknown. With each step he took, he felt the presence of God inside him, guiding him along the path that laid ahead. And though he knew not where his journey would lead, he trusted in the divine plan that had been set before him. As the sun dipped below the horizon and the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Nebo found himself filled with a sense of peace and purpose. For he knew that he was no longer just a shepherd boy, but a vessel for the divine light that illuminated his path. And with each passing moment, he felt himself drawing closer to fulfillment, the realization of his dreams and the embrace of his beloved. In the stillness of the night, Nebo stirred from his slumber, a strange sensation prickling the edges of his consciousness. As he rose from his bedroll, a gust of wind whipped through the air, carrying with it an otherworldly energy that sent shivers up and down his spine. Instinctively, Nebo reached for his staff, his senses sharpened as he scanned the darkness for any sign of danger. With practiced precision, he grounded himself, his left arm braced against the earth as his right knee touched the ground. His gaze swept across the landscape, seeking out the source of the mysterious wind. The air around him seemed to hum with an ethereal melody, a symphony of sound that resonated deep within his soul. And amidst the harmonious chorus, he heard his name whispered on the wind, Nebo, a mighty and pure call that stirred something primal within him. In reverent awe, Nebo whispered back, I am, his voice barely a breath, as he acknowledged the divine presence that surrounded him. And as the wind swirled around him, he raised his eyes to the heavens, beholding the vast expanse of stars that glittered like jewels in the night sky. With each utterance of his name, the stars grew brighter, their light piercing the darkness with an intensity that left Nebo breathless. And as he stood in the glow of their radiance, he felt a wave of energy wash over him, filling him with a sense of peace and purpose that transcended mortal understanding. In that moment of sublime clarity, Nebo felt the boundaries of his being dissolve, his consciousness merging with the infinite expanse of creation. And as he surrendered to the overwhelming presence of the divine light, he felt a surge of power coursing through his veins, illuminating his path with a brilliance that defied comprehension. With arms outstretched and heart open wide, Nebo surrendered himself to the will of the divine, his soul ablaze with the fire of revelation. And as he basked in the glory of his newfound enlightenment, he heard the voice of the divine light speaking to him, words of truth and wisdom that echoed through the depths of his being. In that transcendent moment, Nebo knew that he was called to a higher purpose, to shepherd not just the flock of sheep, but the souls of all who sought the light. And as he collapsed to the ground, overcome by the magnitude of his experience, he knew that he had been forever changed by the divine encounter. As the first rays of dawn broke across the horizon, Nebo awoke to the symphony of nature, the birdsong and rustling leaves, a testament to the interconnectedness of all things. And as he gazed upon the world with newfound clarity, he understood that he was not just a shepherd boy, but a vessel for the divine light that illuminated his path. Chapter 3. Trials and Tribulations. As Nebo ventured forth into the unknown, he encountered trials and tribulations that tested his resolve and faith. Along the dusty roads and winding paths, he faced challenges that threatened to deter him from his path. One day, as he journeyed through a dense forest, he stumbled upon a group of weary travelers, their faces drawn with exhaustion and despair. Without hesitation, Nebo offered them food and water from his meager provisions, sharing what little he had with those in need. But as he reached into his bag, he realized with a sinking heart that his supplies were dwindling, depleted by the demands of his journey. Fear gripped his heart as he wondered how he would continue on without sustenance to sustain him. Yet even in the face of adversity, Nebo refused to lose hope. Turning to the heavens, he prayed for guidance and strength, trusting in the divine providence that had led him thus far. His prayers were answered, for as he looked up, he beheld a sight that filled him with wonder, a flock of birds descending from the sky, their wings glinting in the sunlight. They led him to a crystal-clear riverbank filled with edible plants and delicious chestnuts. Chapter 4. The Meeting of Kindred Spirits. As Nebo continued on his journey, he encountered many souls who would leave an indelible mark upon his heart. Among them was a kindred spirit named Eliana, a wise and beautiful woman. Her eyes sparkled with the light of ancient wisdom. Eliana welcomed Nebo into her humble abode, offering him shelter and sustenance in exchange for his company and conversation. And as they sat by the fire, sharing stories and exchanging laughter, Nebo felt a deep connection with this enigmatic woman who seemed to possess knowledge and a caring heart beyond her years. Through their conversations, Nebo learned of the ways of the soul, of its mysteries and wonders, of its joys and sorrows, and in Eliana's presence he felt a sense of peace and contentment that he had never known before. His heart radiated joy in her presence, but their time together was fleeting, for Nebo knew that his journey was far from over. With a heavy heart, he bid farewell to Eliana, promising to carry her wisdom with him wherever he went. And as he journeyed forth once more, he felt a renewed sense of purpose burning within him. For he knew that he was not alone on his quest, but surrounded by the love and guidance of kindred spirits who walked beside him, their presence a beacon of hope in the darkness. Chapter 5. Trials of Faith. As Nebo pressed onward, the road grew ever more treacherous, winding through rugged terrain and desolate landscapes. Yet with each step he took, his faith only grew stronger, his determination unwavering in the face of adversity, his motivation being not for his own needs, but for all he can do for those he adores. One fateful night, as he sought refuge beneath the canopy of stars, Nebo found himself beset by doubts and fears that threatened to consume him. For though he had journeyed far, the road ahead seemed endless, stretching out before him like an unfathomable abyss. In his darkest hour, Nebo turned again to the heavens, beseeching the divine light to guide him through the darkness. And as he poured out his heart in prayer, he felt a presence above him and inside him, a comforting presence that declared words of encouragement and solace that said, "I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. You who are thirsty, come to the waters, and you who have no money, come buy and eat. Come buy wine and milk without money and without cost." Chapter 6. The Revelation. As Nebo journeyed deeper into the heart of the unknown, he found himself drawn toward a destination unknown. And as he traversed the winding paths and hidden trails, he felt a sense of anticipation building within him, a knowing that he was nearing something of great significance. And then, as he beheld the view spread out before him, Nebo felt his breath catch in his throat, for there, in the distance, he saw it, the palace he dreamed about, gleaming like a beacon of hope amidst the surrounding landscape. With each step he took, Nebo felt a sense of wonder and awe wash over him, for he knew that he had finally arrived at the place he had been seeking all along. the place he could now see with his own two eyes. And as he drew closer to the palace, he felt a hand upon his shoulder, a hand that guided him forward with gentle assurance. And then, as he crossed the threshold into the palace courtyard, Nebo felt a profound sense of peace and awe descend upon him, as if all the cares and worries of the world had been lifted from his shoulders. For he knew that he had finally come home, to the place where his destiny awaited him, to the place where he would find complete fulfillment and greater purpose. Chapter 7. Awakening. As Nebo stepped into the courtyard of the palace, he felt a holy light wash over him, living waters flowing through him. He had finally come home after a long and difficult journey, and as he gazed around him at the splendor of his surroundings, he felt a sense of power and wonder fill his being, for he knew that he had arrived at the place that he saw first in his mind and felt first in his heart, the place where his purpose awaited him. With each passing moment, Nebo felt the presence of the divine light surrounding him, enveloping him in its warmth and radiance. And as he walked through the halls of the palace, he felt joy and contentment fill his soul, for he knew that he was exactly where he was meant to be. And then, as he entered the inner chambers of the palace, Nebo saw her standing there before him, bathed in the soft glow of the divine light. And as their eyes met, he knew that she was the one from his dream. Nebo knew that no matter what trials and tribulations lay ahead, he would always be guided and protected by the divine light that dwelled within him, for he knew that he was a child of the light, destined for greatness and boundless love for all eternity. Chapter 8. The Miracle of Faith. As Nebo stood before the court of the palace, he faced the judgment of the king and his council. Accused of trespassing and speaking to the princess without permission, Nebo knew that his fate hung in the balance. The king, a stern and unforgiving ruler, gazed upon Nebo with cold eyes. "You have violated the laws of our land," he declared, his voice echoing through the grand chamber. "For this crime, you shall be sentenced to death." But Nebo did not flinch, for he knew that his faith in the divine light that guided him would protect him from harm. And so, with a calm and steady voice, he addressed the king and his council. "I come in peace," Nebo proclaimed, his words filled with conviction. "I seek only to share the truth that has been revealed to me, the truth of the divine light that dwells within all things." At first the king and his council scoffed at Nebo's words, dismissing them as the ravings of a madman. But as Nebo spoke, his voice filled with the power and authority of the divine light, they felt a stirring within their hearts, a sense of wonder and awe that they could not deny. And then, as Nebo reached out to touch the king's hand, a miracle occurred, for in that moment, the divine light that dwelled within Nebo flowed forth like a mighty river, enveloping the king and his council in its warmth and radiance. In shock, the king fell before Nebo, his heart overflowing with humility. "You are a child of the light," he declared, his voice trembling with emotion. "Forgive me for doubting you. From this day forth, you shall be known as my son and heir, if this is what you wish, entrusted with the care of this palace and all who dwell within its walls." And so, as Nebo opened his eyes wide to behold the majestic palace that surrounded him, he marveled at the intricate details of the architecture, the shimmering pools of water, and the fragrant gardens that filled the air with their sweet scent. It was the exact palace he had dreamed of, a vision of grandeur and beauty brought to life before his very eyes. Trusting in his God, Nebo knew that he had arrived at his destination, the culmination of his journey, and the realization of his desires. With contentment flowing over him, he declared a prayer of thanks to the divine light that had guided him every step of the way. But there was still one thing his heart was seeking. Nebo set about making arrangements for Eliana to join him in the palace, for he knew that she was a kindred spirit, a wise and beautiful soul who had shared in his journey and his dreams. And as he awaited her arrival, he knew that together they would embark on a new chapter of their lives, a chapter filled with love, light, and boundless possibilities.